Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. Before we begin, please make sure to hit the subscribe button. Tonight, we're stepping away from our usual headlines to bring you a story that has touched the hearts of millions across the nation. A story of love, the passage of time, and the sudden, jarring reality of human fragility. For over 30 years, they have been America's sweethearts. From the soap opera sets of All My Children to the bright early morning lights of the live studio, Kelly Ripa and Mark Consuelos have been the gold standard of celebrity marriages. But today, that image of the invincible power couple was shattered. In a moment that left the studio audience in a stunned silence and viewers at home reaching for their tissues, Kelly Ripa did the one thing we rarely see her do. She let the mask of the professional, upbeat host slip. Today, Kelly broke down, and the reason behind those tears, a deepening concern for the health of her husband and co-host, Mark Consuelos. It happened during what should have been a standard host chat segment. For those who watch the show religiously, you know that Kelly and Mark's chemistry is built on playful banter, gentle ribbing, and an almost superhuman level of energy. But today, the energy was different. It was heavy. It was fragile. As the cameras rolled, the conversation turned, as it often does, to the realities of aging. We've seen them joke about it before, Mark's caveman skincare routine or Kelly's dry January discoveries. But today, the jokes stopped. When Mark began detailing a recent string of physical setbacks, what he called minor, but what Kelly clearly sees as something more, the atmosphere in the room shifted. Witnesses in the studio say that as Mark spoke about the physical toll of his recent projects and the random injuries that seemed to be stacking up, Kelly's eyes began to well. It wasn't just a single tear, it was a visible, visceral release of emotion. She tried to laugh it off at first, saying, "You're just falling apart, aren't you?" But the quiver in her voice betrayed her. She had to stop. She had to reach for Mark's hand. And for several seconds, the loudest show on daytime television went completely, heartbreakingly quiet. To understand why Kelly broke down today, we have to look back at the last few months. On the surface, Mark Consuelos is the picture of health, a fitness enthusiast, a leading man, a hunky host. But behind the scenes, 2025 has been a testing year for the 54-year-old actor. It started back in October with an injury that seemed almost comical at the time. Mark revealed to the audience that he had sustained a pathetic arm injury in his sleep, a torn brachioradialis tendon caused by a dream where he punched the air. We laughed, they laughed, but as the weeks went on, that injury didn't just go away. It became a lingering reminder that the body doesn't bounce back the way it used to. Then came November, the colonoscopy incident. While Mark's results were thankfully clear, the lead-up to that procedure was fraught with tension. Kelly spoke on air about the dangers of letting medical issues go unchecked. She spoke with a sense of urgency that many took for granted. She said, "There are things you can nip in the bud, and instead you let it get to the place where it's beyond help." At the time, we thought she was just being her usual proactive self. Looking back, we see the seeds of a wife who is deeply, perhaps even secretly terrified of losing the man who has been her North Star for 3 decades. Add to this the grueling schedule Mark has been keeping. Between co-hosting live and his top-secret filming for Scream 7, Mark has been burning the candle at both ends. Kelly recently joked that he tells her nothing about his work projects, keeping her in the dark to protect the sanctity of the NDA. But tonight, sources close to the family are asking, is the secrecy about more than just a movie script? Is he shielding his wife from the physical toll his career is taking on him? Why did Kelly break down now? Why today, on December 25th, a day usually reserved for joy and celebration? Psychologists often talk about the holiday crash. It's a phenomenon Kelly herself has discussed. The idea that our bodies wait until we have a moment of rest to finally succumb to the stress and the illnesses we've been fighting off. Just weeks ago, Kelly admitted that she and Mark always get sick during the holidays. She said, "Our bodies know we can't get sick because we have to be here." But this isn't a common cold. The breakdown we saw today was the culmination of a year of tremendous loss. Let's not forget that earlier this year, the couple lost their beloved 17-year-old dog, Chewy. We saw them cry then, and it was a reminder of how deeply they feel every loss, every shift in their family dynamic. With their 3 children, Michael, Lola, and Joaquin, now adults and leading their own lives, Kelly and Mark are in that empty nester phase, where they are each other's everything. When you are someone's everything, the thought of their health failing isn't just a medical concern, it's an existential crisis. To see Mark, the man who played the indestructible Mateo Santos and the commanding Hiram Lodge, admit to feeling old and injured has clearly hit Kelly in a way she wasn't prepared for. In the studio today, after she regained her composure, Kelly whispered something that the hot mics caught. She said, "I just need you to be okay. I can't do the next part of this without you." It was a moment of raw, unedited vulnerability that reminds us that behind the designer clothes and the perfect smiles, they are just a husband and wife facing the same fears we all do. The reaction online was instantaneous. The live community, often jokingly referred to as the Ripicula fandom, flooded social media with messages of support. One fan on X wrote, "Seeing Kelly cry made me realize how much I rely on them for my morning joy. If they're hurting, we're all hurting. Praying for Mark's strength." Another posted on Instagram, "Mark has always been the rock, but even rocks can crack. It's okay for Kelly to be scared. We love them so much." There is a sense of collective grief when a couple this iconic shows a crack in the armor. We've seen them survive the transition from Regis to Michael to Ryan and finally to this, the Kelly and Mark era. It was supposed to be the victory lap. It was supposed to be the easiest chapter. But as any long-term spouse knows, the golden years often come with the heaviest burdens. Medical experts we spoke to today, though not treating Mark, note that the brachioradialis tear and the lingering fatigue could be signs of overexertion. Dr. Alina Vance says, "When you're 54 and living at the pace of a 25-year-old, your body eventually sends you a bill. For a public figure like Mark, the pressure to maintain that fit and youthful image can be a health risk in itself." As we wrap up this special report, we're left with the image of Kelly Ripa, her head resting on Mark's shoulder as the show went to commercial. It was a silent vow, renewed in front of millions. We don't know the full extent of the troubling news regarding Mark's health. We don't know if there is a specific diagnosis, or if it is simply the weight of a long, hard-working year finally breaking through. What we do know is that Kelly Ripa's breakdown wasn't a sign of weakness. It was a sign of a love so deep that the mere thought of a health scare is enough to bring the most powerful woman in daytime television to her knees. Tonight, as families gather for the holidays, the Ripa Consuelos household is likely doing the same, but perhaps with a little more focus on the in sickness and in health part of their vows. Mark is scheduled to return to the set after the winter break, and fans are hopeful that this time off will provide the healing he clearly needs, and the peace of mind that Kelly so desperately craves. Kelly, Mark, if you're watching, know that the thoughts and prayers of your audience are with you. You've given us so many years of laughter. Today, it was our turn to hold space for your tears. As we continue our coverage of this developing and deeply emotional story, we have to talk about the atmosphere inside the ABC studios this morning. Production
Insiders finally cut to a commercial break following Kelly's breakdown, the usual hustle and bustle of a television set, the mic adjustments, the script updates, the touch-ups, didn't happen. Instead, there was a heavy, respectful silence. One stagehand who has worked with the couple for years described the scene as haunting. He noted that Mark didn't let go of Kelly's hand for the entire 6-minute break. They weren't talking to producers. They weren't checking their phones. They were simply there. In that moment, the celebrity artifice was gone. We weren't looking at Kelly&Mark, the brand. We were looking at a wife who was terrified and a husband who was trying, perhaps for the first time in his life, to figure out how to be the rock when his own foundation was feeling shaky. But to understand why this moment felt so final, so troubling, we have to look at the cumulative weight they've been carrying. This wasn't just about one bad morning. This was about a year where the end of things started to feel much closer than ever before. Earlier this year, in February, we saw the first major crack. The world watched as Kelly&Mark announced the passing of their beloved dog, Chewy. For 17 years, Chewy had been the fourth child in their home. Kelly's breakdown on air that day was gut-wrenching, but it was understood as the grief of a pet lover. However, sources close to the couple say that Chewy's passing triggered something deeper. It was the first time the empty nest truly felt empty. With Michael, Lola, and Joaquin all out of the house and pursuing their own lives, Lola even pressuring them to move to London, the silence in their Manhattan townhouse became a mirror. When you lose a pet of nearly 2 decades, you aren't just losing an animal, you're losing an era of your life.